Musical notes: Amelia Warner's music, silent melodies of her love for Jamie. In a world that often confuses loudness with sincerity, Amelia Warner's music exists in a different register altogether. It does not shout, it does not demand attention, and it does not explain itself. Instead, it listens, it waits, it unfolds slowly, like a handwritten letter never meant to be read aloud. To understand Amelia Warner's compositions is not merely to analyze melody or structure, but to step into an emotional landscape shaped by intimacy, restraint, and enduring love. At the heart of that landscape lies a relationship rarely spoken of in explicit terms, yet deeply present in every note she writes: her love for Jamie Dornan. This is not a story about celebrity romance as spectacle. It is a story about how love can be translated into sound without ever being named, how devotion can exist without performance, and how music can become a private diary written in harmony rather than words. A composer who chooses silence over spotlight. Amelia Warner's artistic path has always defied expectation. Having stepped away from the more visible aspects of acting, she turned inward, embracing composition as a form of expression that allowed for honesty without exposure. Film scoring, particularly the kind Amelia is drawn to, requires emotional precision rather than personal exhibition. It is music designed to support, to underscore, to breathe beneath a story rather than sit above it. This choice mirrors her personal philosophy. Amelia has never sought to narrate her private life for public consumption. Her relationship with Jamie Dornan, despite relentless media curiosity, has remained largely unspoken in interviews and public appearances. Yet absence of speech does not mean absence of feeling. Instead, that feeling found another language. Music became the space where what was unsaid could live freely. Love as atmosphere, not declaration. If one listens closely to Amelia Warner's compositions, a pattern begins to emerge. Her music does not rely on dramatic crescendos or overt emotional cues. Instead, it builds atmosphere. The melodies are often sparse, reflective, almost hesitant. Notes linger longer than expected, as if unwilling to move on too quickly. Silence is treated not as emptiness, but as meaning. This is where her love story reveals itself. Long-term love, particularly one grounded in mutual respect and privacy, is rarely explosive. It is quiet. It is repetitive in the most comforting way. It exists in shared mornings, familiar gestures, and an unspoken understanding that does not need constant affirmation. Amelia's music captures this emotional truth with remarkable fidelity. Her scores feel like rooms that have been lived in for years. Nothing is overstated, yet everything belongs. Jamie Dornan as an unspoken presence. Jamie Dornan is never referenced directly in Amelia Warner's music, and yet his presence feels unmistakable. Not as a character or muse in the traditional sense, but as an emotional constant. The stability that underpins her compositions suggests a life anchored by trust and companionship. Many composers draw from turbulence, heartbreak, or dramatic upheaval. Amelia's work, by contrast, often feels grounded, steady, and deeply intimate. Even when her music explores sorrow or tension, it does so without despair. There is always a sense of being held, of returning to something safe. This emotional grounding reflects a partnership that has endured intense external pressure without fracturing. Jamie's career has unfolded in the full glare of international attention, yet their relationship has remained notably untouched by scandal. That kind of resilience does not come from grand gestures, but from daily, quiet commitment. Amelia's music seems to know this instinctively. The sound of emotional restraint. One of the most striking qualities of Amelia Warner's compositions is restraint. She does not overwhelm the listener. She allows space for interpretation, for feeling, for silence. This restraint mirrors the way she and Jamie have navigated fame together. In an industry that rewards overexposure, they chose boundaries. In a culture that encourages constant clarification, they chose trust. That same philosophy echoes through Amelia's work. She does not tell the listener what to feel. She invites them to feel. The emotional palette of her music is subtle but profound. Minor key progressions suggest introspection rather than sadness. Repetition creates familiarity rather than monotony. Gentle piano motifs recur like shared memories, not because they must, but because they belong there. This is the sound of love that does not need to prove itself. Music as a private diary. Every artist keeps a diary, whether literal or metaphorical. For Amelia Warner, music serves that role. But unlike traditional diaries, hers is coded. It does not name dates or events. It records moods, emotional shifts, and inner states that only she fully understands. Within that diary, her relationship with Jamie Dornan appears not as a narrative arc, but as a steady presence. The consistency of her musical voice over time reflects emotional continuity. There are no abrupt ruptures, no drastic stylistic reinventions born of personal chaos. Instead, her work evolves gently, like a relationship growing deeper rather than louder. In this way, her compositions resemble long-term love itself. They are not driven by novelty, but by familiarity refined into depth. Scoring emotion, not spectacle. Amelia's approach to film scoring further reveals her emotional priorities. She is drawn to stories that value internal experience over external action. Her music often underscores moments of reflection rather than climactic events. It listens to characters rather than announcing them. This sensitivity suggests a composer attuned to emotional nuance, someone who understands that the most powerful moments often pass unnoticed. That understanding is not theoretical, it is lived. A marriage that survives fame, distance, and public scrutiny requires the same sensitivity. It requires listening more than speaking, understanding more than asserting. Amelia's music, in many ways, is an extension of that relational skill. The absence that speaks loudest. What Amelia Warner's music does not include is as important as what it does. There is little aggression, little chaos, little performative anguish. This absence challenges the assumption that great art must come from suffering. Instead, her work suggests another possibility: that fulfillment, security, and love can also be fertile ground for creativity. Her marriage to Jamie Dornan has often been framed by the media as unusually private, even suspiciously so. Yet her music offers a different interpretation. Privacy, in this context, is not secrecy. It is protection. It is the choice to keep what matters most intact. That choice resonates in compositions that feel sheltered, intentional, and deeply personal. Love beyond language. One of the most remarkable aspects of Amelia Warner's artistry is how effectively it communicates emotion without language. There are no lyrics to analyze, no explicit messages to decode. The love embedded in her music exists beyond explanation. This mirrors the way long-term partners often communicate. Over time, words become less necessary. Meaning is conveyed through tone, timing, and presence. Amelia's music functions in the same way. It does not explain love, it embodies it. For listeners unaware of her personal life, the music still resonates. For those who understand the context, it reveals additional layers. But in both cases, the emotion stands on its own. Resisting the myth of the tortured artist. Cultural narratives often insist that creativity must be born of pain. Amelia Warner quietly resists this myth. Her music demonstrates that emotional stability does not dull artistic expression, it refines it. Her love for Jamie Dornan does not appear as dramatic obsession or tragic longing. It appears as calm continuity, as emotional safety, as something that allows creativity to unfold without fear. This kind of love does not demand to be immortalized. It simply exists, and in existing, it shapes everything around it. A shared rhythm. Though Jamie Dornan and Amelia Warner work in different artistic mediums, there is a shared rhythm to their lives. Both are deeply committed to their crafts. Both value privacy. Both resist the performative aspects of fame. Amelia's music often feels like a counterbalance to the noise surrounding Jamie's public career. Where his work places him in front of cameras and audiences, her music withdraws into interior space. Together, they form a complete emotional ecosystem: exposure and refuge, expression and reflection. This balance is not accidental. It is cultivated, maintained, and protected. Listening as an act of love. To truly hear Amelia Warner's music requires patience. It does not reveal itself immediately. It unfolds slowly, asking the listener to be present rather than entertained. This requirement mirrors the kind of attention sustained relationships demand. Love, like her compositions, deepens over time. It rewards those willing to listen beyond the obvious. In that sense, Amelia's music is not only an expression of love, it is an invitation to practice it. Conclusion. A love written in sound. Amelia Warner's music does not tell a love story in the conventional sense. There are no grand declarations, no dramatic arcs, no clear beginning or end. Instead, it offers something far more rare, a portrait of love as it actually exists when no one is watching. Through restrained melodies, careful pacing, and emotional honesty, her compositions echo the quiet strength of her relationship with Jamie Dornan. They reveal a devotion that does not need validation, a partnership that thrives beyond visibility, and a connection so deeply integrated into life that it becomes inseparable from creative expression. These are silent melodies, but they are not empty. They are full of meaning, memory, and enduring affection. In listening to them, we are not overhearing a confession. We are witnessing a truth lived fully, lovingly, and without spectacle. And perhaps that is the most powerful music of all.